Hello and welcome back to the North American LCS, and we're loading up for our next match, Golden Guardians versus Team Liquid. I am Julian Patriot, joined by the Tom Brady of Colorcasters, Sam Kirby Hart McKenza. That's not completely true though, people do like
I need some more rings then.
We'll take a look at the starting lineup. Selecting blue side, it is the Golden Guardians. Looking for their first win. In the top lane, it is Lourlo. In the jungle, Contractz. Their mid laner high, but Deftly support Matt and their coach, Tyler.
And on the red side, it will be Team Liquid. Up top is Impact. In the jungle, Xmithie. Mid, Pobelter. Bottom, Doublelift support Olleh and Coach Kane on stage with them. Getting them ready for this draft phase. Super excited.
Well, yesterday, Team Liquid were trying to get home quick as they once again bested their record for fastest win of the split by 3 seconds.
They are definitely pushing the pace. And Team Liquid, they're kind of also trying to separate themselves from the other teams that are at the top of the standings. This first place pack that we have going. Echo Fox, they have started to draw some of the games, but Team Liquid, they're really trying to get a lot of the earlier game-oriented wins, and we can see that in the average game times that we've seen through here. Now, a lot of that does start for them, typically with breaking open this bottom lane. Doublelift and Olleh, nobody is a stranger to these guys, definitely prominent names from that side.
And Big Pobelter's also been kind of making his name a little bit better known here in NA. Back in NA.
He had a monster carry performance yesterday on the Corki. Funnily enough, both these teams yesterday had fairly similar compositions. They both used a Corki Varus backline with tanks from the jungle and from the top side. So this Champion Select, might have a bit of a crossover here. There were, very different endings to those stories. As you said, Pobelter on the Corki was popping off, as the kids say. Whereas
I've heard that before. All right, we are in the Champion Select here. We'll see what happens in the draft as Gangplank and Jace, two top laners taken by GGS from them. Nunu and Camille, though, on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, GP is super common for the top lane. We just saw on display there in the last game for Poncer how he can really take over a game and the zone control he can bring to team fights. To me, Camille ban is really interesting because that is typically doubling up as a jungle ban as well as a top lane ban now. We've seen it in Korea, we've seen it in Europe, and a lot in high yellow and solo queue coming from the jungle and trying to be one of those snowbally, super surprisey picks. And that's the type of thing that I would kind of want to see from a Golden Guardians team. When you see a team and people initially saw Contractz and high on this squad, they were thinking, okay, they might try, some very hard-hitting duos of mid and jungle and try and snowball early. And the Camille pick is kind of one of those examples, along with, Rengar that's not showing up here, where they could try and go for one of those strategies. So it looks like Team Liquid are taking away some of those options for the really snowball, carry junglers that can start to get a lot of those early games and bring that surprise factor.
And I think on draft as well is important to note. Golden Guardians have a new coach. A very abrupt change for the organization is never good, but it's not like this guy has no resume at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a big change here and people were kind of scratching their heads, but this guy has a pretty good pedigree here. I mean, he was the analyst for Fnatic in 2015 when they went 18-0. He was also the analyst for Immortal's 17-1 run in 2016, and then last year he was also Phoenix One's analyst. So he has had a very good history of success in the analyst role, and him being pushed up, I don't think should hurt the team as much as people are thinking.
Well, so far, pretty straightforward here. Gnar first pick there for Golden Guardians. Team Liquid with Ornn and Tristana. I like that the flexibility for Ornn is there. I think maybe with the changes to W, he just fits a bit more naturally in support, but of course can be a tanky top laner for impact as well.
It's a really interesting situation because the changes to W are what a lot of people initially looked at and they're like, oh my god, this is going to change a lot of the feel of the champion. But the biggest thing to me is the nerfs to the cooldown of his ultimate. And the ultimate is the biggest part of Ornn, where you get this huge sweeping crowd control for a team fight. And if you're in the support role, then that is going to be, you're going to feel that reduction in cooldown even more. So if it happens to be the lower level support Ornn, as we saw last time around, or just last game, then they will really have to coordinate around those cooldowns. and you know, make very good use of it, because that is really the biggest part of the kit and the most rewarding part.
Well, so a pretty good carry there for Deftly with Kog'Maw, but Galio actually there for Golden Guardian's been really picking up speed on 8.2, and Pobelter flashes the talent, but is going to go for his own big carry once again in Azir.
Yeah, everybody likes you know, flashing assassins at high, trying to get him to be the one to start that snowball rolling. But
Assassin today for high.
Exactly.
They're very opposite, in fact.
Going to be those classic mid laners that we start to think about here. Now, if we go over the team compositions here during ban phase 2 a little bit for both teams with the first half, Golden Guardians have a very solid setup here. Galio, AP mid, has been gaining a lot of traction in the high yellow as well as the pro play. And a Galio ultimate with a Gnar on the front line does create a fairly secure team fight for Gnar already. You know, maybe they add some more, you know, disengage or some shields later on in the draft, but they're already looking at that 5-on-5 with big AoE and a hyper carry for the AD carry. Meanwhile, on the other side, you touched on the Azir pick. That is like the classic super hard carry from the mid lane, scales very well, also has some self-peel. So Team Liquid here, in their 2 carries they picked up early on in draft phase number 1, have got Tristana and Azir, the 2 best, you know, self-peeling and scaling late game carries. So they're not going to have any problems there.
Makes sense given the recent performances of both Doublelift and Pobelter. Tahm Kench Kha'Zix though, Liquid's last 2 bans here in this phase, and Gnar actually banned by Golden Guardians, so maybe thinking that that is top lane or not support, but in any case, just trying to keep a very good defensive support away from Olleh, and most importantly, away from Doublelift's Tristana.
Yeah, if you add in a Janna to an Azir Tristana, all that Team Liquid would have to draft to finish out their kind of you know, massive late game team fighting composition would be any sort of beefy front line, right? So they're trying to take out some of those shields to remove any of the extra defenses from the already solid carries that have been locked in. And I like that little bit of a look here. Still Team Liquid, they do get the first shot since second round on red side is going to get first pick. And not going to have the shields from the range supports, but immunity to damage is definitely great to have in a team fight if you're going to pick up Taric there for themselves.
Especially against very telegraphed dive like Galio ulti. So we'll see what Golden Guardians respond with. They need to finish their composition here. Braum would make sense. It's one of the more popular melee supports we are seeing. And then I guess last pick is jungle by the looks of things. Contractz maybe saving a carry pick here, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting because as we talked about it before, you know, Contractz, people expected him to play a lot of carries and go for snowballing. He's actually been split with 2 carry picks and 2 tank picks thus far. So, you know, they've been exploring their options. And since now Galio has been traditionally built full AP or very close to full AP, there is a decent amount of damage already on the squad, and they do have options. So it looks like they're going to go for some more synergy with Galio here. You talked about, you know, the Galio and Gnar combination for telegraphed engagements, but Jarvan actually synergizes with both those picks. Galio can come down on top, then Gnar can use the Cataclysm wall that Jarvan creates to get big AoE stuns. And that's the idea. This is very much a dive composition here from Golden Guardians, whereas Team Liquid are going to be looking for a little bit of both now with the Zac pick for their own, you know, possible engagements. That combination with Ornn does give them flexibility. And then the Taric, as you mentioned, will answer if there is you know, the Jarvan jumping in and that telegraphed engage.
Yeah, pretty nice completion there for Liquid, taking Zac as their last pick. Xmithie is a connoisseur of the tank junglers. Not that he can't play aggressive, certainly. I remember him running around snapping people on Jarvan.
Yeah,
I think back to summer finals last year, but pretty straightforward comps, I think, for both. I mean, Liquid, again, talking about their big carries, they've got carries there. The thing I like about Golden Guardians comp is that it's really straightforward. Good solid carry for Deftly, a really good, strong champion that can affect the map for high. And then I think in general, everyone kind of knows their role in this team.
Yeah, I think both of these sets of champions actually embody the current meta, right? These are both fairly flexible as far as the 5-on-5s that you want to take. And to me, maybe the biggest little difference here is the extra importance for Team Liquid to control the vision, because Golden Guardians can react very, very easily to some of the situations, but Zac really does benefit, you know, from that early fog of war control. So Xmithie and Olleh have been 2 of the best, you know, at controlling early vision and trying to get that to snowball. And we'll see if Team Liquid are able to play off that to get those long-range elastic slingshots that people are used to seeing from a Zac player.
Yeah. important to notice. So we are watching Liquid's general speed here in this game. They've been playing pretty fast. We'll see if they can keep that up here, or if Golden Guardians will give them quite a lot of resistance to work through here. And that win there for them will not only be great for total momentum, again, still hunting for their first win here in week 3, but taking down a team like TL will do some pretty funky things to the standings as you move towards the middle of the season.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for that surprise win from Golden Guardians already, and if it came against Team Liquid, that would just add to the shock value.
Welcome to Summoner's
2 smites, by the way, in the top side for TL. Impact has 1 with his spellbook. I don't think anything particularly funky is going to be happening, but you never know, Kobe. What's the level 1 potential?
We know something's going to happen. You don't just take smite and then not use it early.
It might be like, oh, I smited your buff.
Yeah.
Which is not that interesting.
It's not that interesting, but
something will happen. You are correct.
Let's explain the theory behind it.
Okay.
Because people have been, as soon as Spellbook came out, they were like, oh my god, there's all these crazy things we can do. And it turns out, oh, you know, the most general use of it is literally just for the cooldown reduction on summoner spells. But the way it works is, if you use a low cooldown summoner spell like Smite, then you can change it back when you go back. And even if you change to a teleport, and your Smite was on cooldown, you'll have the lower cooldown. Like, you only have that Smite cooldown, even if you change it to teleport. So he can use the Smite early, as long as he doesn't get super bullied, which Ornn should be fine, and doesn't even have to go back to base because he can actually craft his own items in lane. Then he can change it later on and basically just give his jungler a super leash here, which is what we're going to be seeing starting on the red for Xmithie. And this is going to be very interesting because Zach already has a very good blue buff quadrant jungle clear in the fact that everyone's very well accustomed to pulling blue buff over towards Gromp now, and uses AoE to basically clear that at double speed. So now that he got a pull on red, Xmithie is actually set up very quickly to make it towards the bottom half of the map, you know, with a high-level elastic slingshot, maybe get to that level 4 so he has a little bit of extra range. And get the extra level in Elastic Slingshot before he goes for a gank down bottom. Then he could also, you know, take a look at high in the mid lane as Galio here just tries to wave clear with Azir.
Yep, got a slight divergence in paths. They both started red into Raptors, but Contractz ran straight to blue. Xmithie's stopping off at his wolves, so maybe more of a full clear here for Zach, just trying to get that early XP. Contractz could gank, but right now is starting the Gromp.
Yep, Contractz gonna continue to hard farm here as well. A little bit of pings going down in the river. As both of them have seen each other, and a deep ward for Team Liquid here onto the Krugs to make sure that Contractz, or just keep track of the campsite Contractz has not gone to. Xmithie can clear straight down. There's the blue buff over to Gromp that we talked about for the very quick clear for him, and we'll see if he stops off because, you know, a lot of extra influence on the bottom side is important in this game. There's an Infernal Drake as the first dragon, and we're going to have to see about this bottom lane here because there is potential for early action. Anytime you do have Braum as well as Tristana in lanes, even though they're on opposite squads, they can definitely create this. So here's the level 4 for Zach that we were talking about, and he's going to meet up with Jarvan in the jungle. If you look at the mini-map, they saw him on the ward, and he's just going to ward him out.
Ooh, nice stun actually there from Olleh. Finds 2, definitely gets chunked a little, but nothing too crazy. Again, just playing safe. Making sure they get the harassment in where they can. Looks like Xmithie's backed off as well, so that little invade is short-lived, but still gets the information, goes back, gets his tracker's knife, and can continue getting that vision out.
Yeah, by seeing Contractz down at the Golden Guardians Krugs, he knows that his have not been countered, so he's just going to go back up there and clear from top to bottom once again. This is actually pretty decent trading on the top side, so there's an option for Xmithie to go to the top side, and even though you don't usually expect it in the Ornn Gnar matchup, you know, he could actually create something on the Gnar there, try and get some summoners blown. It's definitely very difficult to get that kill early on Lourlo, but since now he's in mini form, it would seem that he's in kind of prime situation for a little bit of jungler intervention.
Something that I've always loved about Impact as a player actually is just how good he is at navigating what seem like tough matchups, especially in tank v tank. He somehow always got an edge, and it was obviously very well known for solo killing people on Gnar. So I agree with you. I don't expect Ornn to really get a foot up in this matchup, but credit to Impact and his individual skill for finding something here.
And you can see that Golden Guardians are also thinking a similar thing here. They called Contractz up to the top side. He ensures that there's no Zach looking for that Elastic Slingshot to try and interrupt the mini Gnar for Lourlo. So Lourlo is able to push in there, and with the prevalence of the fleet footwork now, he's also able to heal back up. And Contractz is able to get some deep vision for himself, which is very important versus Zac, as we kind of talked about.
Yeah, we can have a check in with some of the runes as well. High does have Spellbook, started with Ignite, swapped to T-Feet, and he's back to lane. Pobelter on the other side, actually with Airy. Usually see a lot of comment on Azir, but Airy perfectly good laning rune as well. Other than that, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, I think the Airy here for the Galio matchup, a lot of people are kind of switching back over to it since Galio's really been rising in popularity. But he still is. Oof.
Good chunk on a Doublelift, but no junglers here means Doublelift just rocket jumps away safely. Xmithie looking to cover, but Contractz does spot him out with the Scryer's Bloom. Zombie ward spotted. Contractz takes that one down.
Yeah, the zombie wards, even after the nerf, very much prevalent. A lot of junglers still taking them because the early vision snowball definitely is important. Here's a elastic slingshot from Xmithie.
Oh, good knockback through. Stun lands out, but Matt blocks a ton of the damage there with Unbreakable. Pretty much solo shuts that down. And now Deftly just chills out. I mean, a good attempt there from TL. Great stun once more from Olleh, but that really just stopped that flat. And Doublelift, who already kind of took the wrong end of the trade earlier, is going to have to maybe just be a little more careful, although that's not generally something we associate with Doublelift play. He loves to get in the face of his opponents. As Contractz and Pobelter will meet up. Contractz wants to try and take down this wall. It's going to cost him some health. Contractz though eats the honey fruit and he'll be okay. As Lourlo, he's back to base.
Zombie wards are rising up. Zac is actually pretty happy as well here. Xmithie continuing to scale up. You just want to get more levels so you get that extra range in your elastic slingshot before they can really pull anything off. And both teams actually have decent, early game scaling into the mid game. So not too big of a surprise here that we aren't seeing any of the early skirmishes go down, as both of them really crafted around the team play here. Meanwhile, Xmithie worried about that second invade because they know that Contractz has been in this quadrant for quite a while. And now that Olleh joins him, this is that Olleh-Xmithie combination that people were talking about, the synergy between these two. Just ultra safe there. Make sure that if there was any attempted invade, they'd have the extra numbers.
Yeah, looks like now Golden Guardians know Matt's going to return to this bottom lane and hope to harass Doublelift. Definitely they're holding the wave as best he can, trying to deny some minions, but this cannon creep unfortunately will reach Doublelift eventually. But Doublelift doing the right thing here, just playing safe while Olleh's off adventuring.
Very true. A lot of the control wards were used on the top side as well. So it looks like Team Liquid have made the call for their bottom side to play fairly safe and self-sufficient down here. Sometimes people are like, oh, Doublelift is always looking to push his lane, always looking to get that CS advantage and kind of establish his dominance in the bottom lane over people, but he actually has had some varied looks, right? You don't want to box him into one sort of play style. He's very capable of also just playing the farm game, going even if they don't have vision or pressure on the bottom side, which they currently don't, since they've used all three of their control wards currently around that mid lane for Pobelter on the Azir, who is using that Airy very effectively. Idea behind that, by the way, we were talking about that versus Comet, is you trade way more frequently with Airy, and Azir into Galio, he is able to get that activation off since you have the extra range there with Azir soldiers, and Galio has to try and get decently close to get his Q auto combos off to clear waves, and a little bit of extra damage he's able to trade.
Yeah, really defensive start actually here from High. Spectre's Cal first with an extra null magic mantle, and he's down a pretty significant amount of CS, 15, as High clears up most of that wave under turret. So Pobelter certainly getting a lot of traction out of his more aggressive landing rune. And back in top, Lourlo just trying to push him in. But again, Impact doing a really nice job just keeping this even. We saw him trade well in certain situations, but knows that now that things have reset, they need to play a little more softly.
Kind of standard trading going on here in the bottom lane as Xmithie moved in and got the Scuttle Crab there around Dragon. So we may see this be kind of the start of one of those plays on bottom side, since neither top laner has teleport, but they're starting to get a little bit of extra vision, and you do have capabilities of getting one of these Infernal Drakes if there is a skirmish and just a single player goes down. It's a very big reward this early in the game that both teams, looking at their later game scaling, would be very happy to have.
Xmithie actually moving in to clear out the vision that was down there before. Scuttlecrab helped spot a potential gank, but Contractz now knows his control ward's been taken over. 2v2 here in mid lane though. Pobelter gonna get flash taunted on. Here comes the Zac moving in as Pobelter does try and push him out of the way. The ulti though is gonna land out. The cataclysm damage isn't bad, but they need to get somebody else there. Contractz is good. Ulti already out from the Galio. Now with the Justice Punch, but Pobelter grabs the first blood, keeps cutting away. The exhaust from Olleh is great as he pops a Cosmic Radiance high. Lost to burn his stopwatch as Matt just can't really do too much else to protect him. Wins the ball, burning him down, but he still gets slapped together. Pobelter gets 2 kills out of that.
Oh, and you can see the communication in action there. As Olleh is first up the river on the roam, he tells Pobelter, you don't have to be scared of the Galio. So Pobelter stands there and he's ready to take the Justice Punch in the face in order to finish off his kill on Jarvan. Let's take a look at the mini-map while this is going on, by the way. So, the counter is there for Xmithie with the Zac. Since they have the extra vision, Zac is one of the best at getting those counter ganks off. He is able to get the knockup, buy some room for Pobelter, and then here, the pings go down. You can see Olleh, as he was coming up the river, telling Pobelter, hey, finish off the kill onto Jarvan. I'm right behind you. You don't have to worry about the burst from Galio, and he's well protected. So that's a lot of coordination from Team Liquid in that little counterplay that has earned them this early lead.
Yeah, you can kind of see part of the issue there as well for High's first item, Adaptive Helm. Great first item, just doesn't do that much damage when you're trying to do some sort of skirmish. So first blood and second blood both go to Pobelter, but High, he's got different plans. Time to dive the bot lane.
All right, let's see how this works out. They're going to push him off. Doublelift gets a little low.
Justice Punch through despite the stun from Olleh, but that might just merit the first turret here. Pobelter is ready to answer though. Zips over, High gets pushed back in. A great angle on that ultimate. Taunt there for a bit of extra reduction. Doublelift still taking damage. The heal burnt though by Tristana as the TP's in from TL. Impact gonna join the party and call that off. Good cancel there from Impact, but Team Liquid do live through the dive attempt.
Yeah, teleport canceled here. So let's see what Golden Guardians can actually do with this, because the last little skirmish around mid lane definitely was costly for them. But now with the extra teleport on Lourlo, they have a few more options as far as trying to turn something on this side of the map. And we still have the Infernal Drake as a very big prize down there. So even though Team Liquid off to a good early start, Golden Guardians still have some options available to them. Only problem is Pobelter right back at it after his 2 kills, just wailing on this turret.
Yeah, those 3 soldiers just spawn behind him, able to get that attack speed boost and does get himself first turret gold. So set up to have another big carry game as Xmithie dives in onto Contractz. Looks to slap him between his own Raptor, but not happening. And instead, Pobelter continuing to apply so much pressure here in this mid lane. Yeah,
with Azir as well, not only do you take away the defenses of your opponents, but he's able to raise that turret, as you can see, creating extra pressure in the mid lane, which completely solidifies this Infernal Drake area as kind of Team Liquid battleground, where they're then going to look to set up their fight around the extra pressure that they have to try and really secure an easier Drake kill for themselves. Meanwhile, though, Impact's still waiting on his teleport cooldown. He does have Spellbook, so it's reduced by that extra 30%.
Hanging out for now, though. Lourlo, decent CS lead actually been built up despite Impact's strong early laning, but Team Liquid feeling confident now with his 2-0 Azir. Nash's 2 done, both carries buying from the bot lane, so just going to rush this down, and Pobelter more than sufficient on the damage front to get that first Infernal over to Team Liquid.
Yeah, mid lane priority, just such an insane snowball right here. Azir able to take the turret, erect his own defenses, and then even without the teleport from topside, their complete vision control makes it very simplistic for Team Liquid to grab that one up. Now, we do have some item power spikes that are important for Golden Guardians here, as the Rage Blade comes in for Kog'Maw, and they're trying to get something back for themselves here, but Pobelter has really been denying kind of any of the counter plays that Golden Guardians have gone for. Just by showing up there, Pobelter again denies another play.
Very frustrating at this stage as Matt is going to go in onto the Doublelift. Definitely behind him, though, going to try and tag the Trist. Olleh the next target, but Pop the Cosmic ready before the stun. High now also here. Justice Punch looking on, not ready for impact, trying to defend it. Olleh low, flash forward, wins the war, not enough. The shielding's still good. Definitely forced to flash out the Galio ulti. He's going to try and reset the fight. Nice exhaust there from Matt on the Pobelter, but definitely still low, needs to dish out damage. Impact pretty tanky as Lourlo's in as well. Meganar's impact into the wall as definitely does finally get the sniper. Kog'Maw down to the Trist. Reset jump scare as a pop from Matt. He's going to just leave him for dead. A huge massacre in the bot lane, 3 for 1.
Oh, and it is tragic for the Golden Guardians. They were able to pick up 1 kill on impact, but Olleh barely surviving there with the extra heal and shield comes through, gets his Guardian, and they're also going to be able to take, oh, actually they don't take the bottom turret, but they do run them off and get a reset. Let's look at how it started. You can tell, Golden Guardians, they want this collapse, and the ultimate from Olleh does buy himself enough time to completely teleport from impact. You can see impact takes out the DPS here on the backside with his ultimate onto Deftly. It also forces flash, and that means that Golden Guardians have to switch tactics here. They then start to peel for Deftly, trying to keep their Kog'Maw upright, because that is really, you know, their only hope of damage output in these little skirmishes at this point with his Rage Blade. Meanwhile, it was just too much time. Team Liquid collapsed. They get to re-engage with Zac and clean up.
Too many low health targets there as Doublelift able to clean up nicely with his resets. Team Liquid up 5 kills to 1 with a pretty substantial gold lead. Despite all the action, 4,000 gold ahead for them to take in that first turret as well. So we talked about them playing fast-paced games, certainly on track for another quick one. Back on the bot side though, Deftly still farming up. Farm has been good between the two. Doublelift though, certainly with more gold at 2-0 and 1. Have to see if Golden Guardians can set things up a little bit better for themselves. High now actually starting to build a bit more damage after that adaptive comes. So if they can find the combinations, they should be good. But Team Liquid have been really good at sniffing that out and shutting it down before things can really start. Yeah,
Team Liquid, you could tell, they're trying to close the ring of vision right now to really further the oppressive engage that they do have. Xmithie on Zac goes into the jungle. They're trying to secure their own area to try and start this dive off from. See if he gets it.
Pobelter back, by the way, with 2 items already finished. 100% kill participation. Xmithie going to dive his way in. Olleh popping the ulti. It's time to dive the turrets. Good ult back there. Abducts 2. Definitely so low. Pobelter on a rampage. Takes 1, takes 2. Looking for the triple as Contractz here. Maybe make it 4. Contractz goes down. A triple for Pobelter. Make it 4. No. Doublelift steals the quadruple. Team Liquid 4 clean kills.
And that's what it looks like when this squad gets ahead. You know, the Zac engage. And then, as you talked about, the Taric ultimate, perfect counter there to Galio. Even though they know that the Galio is on the team, is going to come in for the counter engage with the big knockup. Olleh ultimate timing there with the Taric is very well done. They immune most of the damage of the dive. Team Liquid lose nobody in it, and they're able to secure that turret.
Well, again, on track for a fast one, but we'll watch this replay. Just such a well-coordinated dive for Liquid.
Exactly. So it's thinking kind of one step ahead. They know that the counter from Galio is going to come in. They say, Xmithie, doesn't even matter if you hit the elastic slingshot, just get in there. Because the Taric ultimate immunes a good 3 tower shots, I think, as well as the Galio ultimate. They go for the dive. Pobelter's so fed that he's able to kill off the Golden Guardians quick enough, and they finish it up before the turret damage really even matters.
Unfortunately for the Golden Guardians, Pobelter still getting stronger. A blasting one now, adding to his 3rd eventual item pickup, and still sitting at 100% kill participation, 6-0 and 3. We talked about him having a big carry performance yesterday. He is set to upset that with this game.
I mean, Pobelter has been in the competitive League of Legends scene since he was like 13 years old. He played on Curse before the LCS even existed, and he has just gotten better, honestly. He talked this year about trying to prove himself with the big names of Bjergsen and Jensen always getting so much credit, and he's had a very, very good start for himself, really earning his place at the top of the North American LCS list of mid laners. Another good game for himself, but honestly, we also have to bring up this team as a whole for Team Liquid. Their average was just barely over 30 minutes so far. It looks like they're looking to improve that game time average, and we'll see if they can continue to snowball. Continue here though, Mountain Drake in 20 seconds. Actually one of the greatest drakes for those, you know, kind of speed runs on top of the Infernal.
Yeah, certainly things are lining up nicely for them as Xmithie feints a slingshot over the wall, but does not commit despite the strength of the Azir. Outer ring felled through by Liquid as Doublelift is able to take that turret from top lane. And again, with that mid-tier 2 taking a lot of heat just from Azir pressure practically alone, Team Liquid are looking to keep going things. Pobelter with a nice flash out of the way as Contractz and High try some sort of combo.
All right, well, you got to keep looking, you know, for the small openings if you are Golden Guardians, right? They now have no flash on the big carry for Team Liquid. It's rough that there's another, you know, decently big carry. This is a 3-kill, 206 CS Tristana, with Infinity Edge Static Shiv also completed. But you got to look one step at a time. Pobelter doesn't have flash on the Azir, so that is going to be the target for Golden Guardians. They still do have that dive combination that we talked about, and now they're just going to look for an opportunity, for a misposition to try and use that combination onto Pobelter.
Grab that Mountain Drake though, and RNG looking good in this speedrun. Kobe, Infernal is the next Drake to spawn here in this game, as Xmithie may have caught high. Cancel that Justice Punch by standing in front again with the stretching strikes. Pushing Galio into his own minion wave, but again, relatively tanky with the Adaptive Helm and the Null-Magic Mantle. Gonna need some damage at some point, but that is on the way at least for high. The Golden Guardians still fighting off a pretty big deficit. 8,000 gold ahead for Team Liquid here, as we're just under the 21-minute mark.
8,000 gold and complete control of vision, not only around Baron, but in the entire jungle leading up to Baron. If we toggle the Fog of War right now, you can see why Golden Guardians are pinging on Baron. They use the Scrying Orb just to make sure that they're not already doing it, because even though it's 21 minutes into the game, this amount of DPS on Team Liquid with the lead that they've gotten could easily take it down. They have Infernal plus Mountain Drake, the best at snowballing games here, as well as the giant lead. So it really is just about how Team Liquid are going to control this area of the map and then try and starve out the Golden Guardians here. They continue to bait out the Scrying Orb, so that's the last kind of safe vision check that Golden Guardians have. Now they would have to move up the minion wave and try and use Kog'Maw ultimates or something, throwing those into brush, throwing the Jarvan flag, and hopefully, not getting caught for themselves.
Yeah, we can see some shallow vision being placed by Golden Guardians as Contractz just puts the water as close as he feels is safest in the river. Pobelter though was backing, so using that time to finish a Void Staff. Turret's going up, and things are pointing to this Baron, Kobe.
Yep, turret goes up. So again, the exact same play that we saw for Team Liquid when they tried on the bottom side. They wreck the turret in the mid lane, then they collapse back into the vision control they have around the main objective. They clear out those last few wards that Golden Guardians were just able to place. And then you look for either the Elastic Slingshot for Mizak, or just the GGS that they have to try and burn it down. Currently, though, 3-1-1 actually. Trying to have Doublelift on this Tristana, use the explosive shot, take down some more health here from the top side.
Oh, Shelly also in play. Perhaps a distraction around this Baron, but not going to take that turret down.
Yeah, with the eyeball shot there, takes out most of Shelly's health, and Golden Guardians could have a last-ditch effort here, rushing in headlong. It's extremely scary, so they do have to go in blind, but there aren't many options.
Oh, blind indeed. Dazzle going to miss though from Taric. Xmithie though going to follow up. Contractz picks the next target, finds him anyway with Contractz. Buffers the flag drag out to relative safety. Turret goes down as the Sun Disc is felled, but TL right back to it as Impact again, starting to bully Lourlo.
And if you are looking at speedrun stats, you could say that Team Liquid, maybe after Jarvan uses a flag for vision or runs away right there, as he did, Contractz was trying to immediately exit the area, they could immediately retreat to the Baron and then try and burn it down with this 6-kill Azir, Infernal plus Mountain. Instead, they went for the chase there. Xmithie tried to get the Elastic Slingshot and get a pick onto the jungler to be more secure about it. But in the end, they aren't able to take down the jungler. They do get another turret for themselves, but it doesn't really progress the game that quickly, and they can still fall back to the same pattern.
Yeah, they've got less than 4 minutes to break their record from yesterday, so unlikely, but certainly not impossible. Team Liquid looking to keep that average very close to the 30-minute mark, if nothing else here in this game. And again, just all that setup for Baron. Doublelift now has 3 completed items. That Zeal evolved into a rapid fire cannon. And Pobelter with a needlessly large rod starting his next item. Number 4 is on the way as he grabs the blue buff. He is unbelievably strong on this Azir.
It's interesting to think back too about, the off-season hype for Team Liquid and why everyone was so excited for this team. The success of last year's Immortals combined with the all-star power of Doublelift and Impact, the Rock from Cloud9 from their successful season and their successful Worlds games that we saw from him, all kind of combined into one team. What people weren't even factoring into that equation with how much hype there was around Team Liquid was this dominating performance from Pobelter. He was kind of, people were like, okay, it's going to be a solid mid lane. You know, he's worked with a lot of those guys before, so he's going to have this energy and it'll be solid, but he's coming out more than solid. He's coming
Goodbye,
out
Baron.
super hard carry. Yeah, Baron doesn't even stand a chance. I didn't even want to mention that he has a chance there because it's trivial almost for Team Liquid, the damage and stuff that we talked about for them having, but that has kind of been the real kicker here for the start of the season. It's been the above expectations play here from Pobelter, absolutely killing it, and the rest of Team Liquid also really putting the pedal to the metal.
Yep, he's level 16 now, is Azir, so Pobelter can play with impunity here, especially with Xmithie just to his left. Infernal also up in 30 seconds, but Taric's getting mowed down now by the duo lane of Team Liquid. Doublelift and Olleh with that Baron buff, able to knock down whatever they want. Lourlo getting caught. Minino is not very tanky at all. Still though, dunked there onto Pobelter, pushed him out there with the Emperor's Divide. Xmithie, Dragon back in its high. As Contractz is the target, but a good wall there from Matt. He's going to stop the bull. Not going to stop Pobelter though from going godlike. But the Cosmic Radiance again forces the dive down from TL. Mid lane inhibitor turret is going to vanish. And now the play continues. Damage down, great follow-up stun as Pobelter, a well-deserved legendary here in this game. High's going to go down again there as Doublelift continues his rampage. We've got about a minute, Kobe, for them to break that record.
27:34 was Team Liquid's previous game time. That was the fastest, and this one looks to beat it.
They're going to go for it here. Nexus Turret 1 is down. Nexus Turret 2 is going to get made very short word of Team Liquid. A new personal best as they take down Golden Guardians 26-24.
Personal best, and I believe North American LCS best.
And that's the world record, Kobe.
World North American record.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Honestly, you got to be impressed with the coordination that they pulled these plays off with for Team Liquid as well. You know, the setup and execution in the bottom lane play where they had the skirmish around Pobelter. He kind of down into the river where Olleh was already roaming. From there, it was a very, very big snowball.
Certainly was, and that one Baron was more than enough to close out the game, just given how strong the carries on Team Liquid were. I liked what Golden Guardians put on the table as far as their draft went, but individual skill and total coordination a little too much here in this game.
And the best part of the Team Liquid wins, Xmithie dad hugs.
Ah, yes.
Everybody gets theirs in line.
Well, pretty solemn looks there on the other side, but Team Liquid will be happy to stay one of the most threatening first place teams here in the league, tied now with Echo Fox and maybe Cloud9, depending on how they do later in the afternoon. I think it's actually next game, so you can see how that goes. But I mean, Team Liquid, if they're trying to say we're tied for first, but we're the best first place team, this is a pretty good message to send to the others.
Yeah, they were coming in with that message, and they have definitely delivered thus far.
Loud and clear.
A lot of people are also talking about how early Team Liquid started practicing. So not only did they draft a lot of veterans, or sign a lot of veterans in the offseason, but they also then put in a lot of practice early on, and the hard work is paying off.
Certainly is. I mean, again, Doublelift we know, but Pobelter, I think, have to continue singing his praises. Did roughly 1 million damage, I think that graph says. I can't read the number, but that's about what it is.
18,996.
Proc relatively 1 million.
Yeah, Australian math.
Exactly, very upside down. I mean, again, I think it is important to note, with a role player like Impact, you need another carry. Pobelter certainly has been that, but let's send it down to Olleh and Team Liquid's caller of Forge Gods.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Impact with another super speedy game. I want to ask you, what's it like playing on Team Liquid, and how does it compare to your past teams?
I like I'm play in Team Liquid really like because every play really good, I think, and we focus clean game always. So that's why we end really fast. Another team play end is 40 minutes 30 minutes, but we 26 because we know how can play end and we know how can pressure. So we focus that. That's why we end fast. I like that.
Now you guys definitely have speed on your side, but I want to ask you, what are you focusing on the most this split?
Just focus my job because if I'm play tank, just focus. Yeah, don't. Sometimes the game, but yesterday Jake helped me one time, so snowball. But today I say don't need help. I'm just have smite and leash, just for help my teammate. Yeah, and if I play carry, my teammate help. So just focus my job. Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about your replacement on Cloud9. What do you think of Licorice so far?
I think he pretty good play aggressive, but sometimes too much aggressive, I think. but it's fine. But I didn't see he play tank, and yeah, I think he pretty good carry Camille or Jace or not GP, but it's okay. And I think he and Lipo say he little no brain, but he good, I think.
Wonderful. Well, Impact, thank you so much for this interview. Back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Impact and the rest of Team Liquid going to be very happy to close out the weekend with another incredibly fast victory. The new fastest game time of the split for Team Liquid, who now hold the top 4 fastest game times in North America. They only played 6 games.
That's where you want to have 4.
When you're in Mario Kart and you got like the ghost behind you that's just yourself, and you're just constantly trying to beat yourself because no one else is pushing.
No, I mean, at this point, people are getting lapped, essentially, if you want to put racing terminology to it. With the blazing
played 6
speed
games, and
at
4
which
of them are the fastest.
Team Liquid is crushing people, and they're doing it, in such impressive fashion, I think because it is coming from mechanical prowess initially, coupled with then what seems to be some pretty solid communication and grouping out of the squad.
I think what Impact said was important, which is that when we do get the lead, we don't make mistakes and we're very aggressive about ending the game. You see earlier in the day, Echo Fox similarly smashing and then start throwing that game away. So I think that is what Team Liquid does have over these other top teams, is not only do they get leads consistently, but they know how to explode the game open.
Now, although the game was incredibly fast and impressive for that reason, we do have to recognize that it was one of our teams tied for first against the winless Golden Guardians. So to some degree, an expected victory out of Team Liquid. And so we kind of wanted to take this opportunity to do a deep dive into draft exploration here. We're going to throw this up on your screens, work through the first phase real quick. The part we want to focus on is more the second phase, but let's set it up first by talking about what's already on the table.
So there's a lot of focus, obviously, with the carries all taken. AD carry, the mid laners and the top laners all locked in. Ornn can flex. And so at this point, there's a couple of things you need to take into account. Galio in particular is a champion that kind of warps the draft law, where suddenly you're concerned about things like Camille and J4.
Yeah, and what we were thinking the Team Liquid was going to do here was have some type of priority or plan around Braum. Either pick it away so your Ornn can easily shut down the Kog'Maw in team fights, or just ban it, because they have 2 bans left for ban phase 2, but they opted for something a little bit different, and they had reasons for it. This is just what we were expecting.
Yeah, to your point, we actually had seen the effectiveness of the Braum against Ornn in previous games. That, as you mentioned, is not what Team Liquid does. So let's go ahead and roll through that ban phase 2. They opt for Tahm Kench, Kha'Zix, Braum still on the table.
Yeah, and to explain what I think they did, they want to block the ability for Tahm Kench to save the Kog'Maw, and they also may be scared of Kha'Zix's early game, and that's mainly a target ban at Contractz. However, if you're thinking of it from the big picture, like, Braum J4 is exactly what Golden Guardians want here. And these are mainly just preferential bans that Team Liquid threw at Golden Guardians.
Because in a sense, Mark, I want to throw this exercise or this thought up for everyone to kind of consider. Let's replace Golden Guardians' name with, a top-tier team from the LPL or a top-tier team from the LCK, or even another one from the top 5 of NA, and all of a sudden you are more concerned about those power picks.
Absolutely. I mean, you're giving the enemy team the ability to draft a stronger comp. You take the Braum and suddenly Ornn isn't as good. You take the J4 and then suddenly Galio is enabled with these crazy dives, and it's a little scary. I mean, like we said, Team Liquid is clearly playing towards the strengths of Golden Guardians as players, not necessarily as their comp.
So let's go ahead and fill this in with what Team Liquid ended up doing. Understand that we are nitpicking here. In the context of this matchup, Team Liquid made their composition work, and they did it brilliantly. We're looking for ways in which they might be able to gain even more edges.
I mean, listen, they're able to get the Zac pick in because the J4 doesn't pressure as hard early game as the Kha'Zix might as far as invading the jungle, so in that way they get safety, and we got to see them turret dive with the Taric. But once again, the thing that I probably would have preferred is if they just replace that Kha'Zix ban with a Braum ban. You still get the Taric, you still get the Zac, and their lanes are good enough that they're going to be able to stop the Kha'Zix from invading. But overall, still pretty solid.
They have so many options here that's why we're kind of talking about it so much, is because you can even flex the Ornn down bot lane after you ban out the Braum. We saw TSM do that just before, and we saw how effective Ornn is into a Kog'Maw pick. So they kind of opted into just going as standard as possible when they had a lot of freedom, and it is, like we said, Golden Guardians, but it's fun to see what Team Liquid could have done there, because there was a ton open in the second phase.
It's a fun conversation to have, right? Because at the end of the day, you look at a team that's got Pobelter playing the way he is right now, and I feel like they could draft anything and still come away with victories. This guy is on a tear.
He is on a campaign to make himself the best mid laner in the LCS, and It's pretty convincing.
And the whole Team Liquid team is actually kind of exceeding the expectations that they had at the start of the year. They've won 5 games, and 4 of them have been faster than anyone else in the league has won games. So, whew, they got to keep that up.
Not a ton of criticism for us to throw Team Liquid's way. We're reaching for that criticism. After the break, Clutch Gaming load onto the opposite side of the rift of Cloud9. Don't go anywhere.
Impact is pretty tanky as Lourlo's in as well. Meganar's impact into the wall. Deftly does finally get the sniper. Kog'Maw down to the Trist. Reset jump scare as a pop from Matt. He's going to just leave him for dead.
I used stopwatch. I'm on Contractz now. I got it. Keep. Okay.
Kill them more.
Okay.
Nice.
And now the play continues. Damage down. Great follow-up stun as Pobelter. A well-deserved legendary here in this game. High's going to go down again there as Doublelift continues his rampage. We've got about a minute, Kobe, for them to break that record. Team Liquid, a new personal best as they take down Golden Guardians 26-24.